Greetings, everyone. I'm Doreen Gensler from NBC4 here in Washington. It's an honor to be part of Pathways to Housing DC's Safe at Home event and to share this special time with all of you. I'm thrilled to have you join us, whether you've been involved with Pathways to Housing DC for years or are just beginning to learn about their work in ending chronic homelessness. This event promises to inspire you. Welcome Home is only the beginning of the journey, and with your support, Pathways to Housing DC can continue to lead the way. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you and extend my gratitude to you for supporting this Safe at Home event with Pathways to Housing DC. As part of the NBC4 family, I'm proud to shine a spotlight on the essential and life-saving work of charitable organizations like Pathways to Housing DC. Now, more than ever before, this work needs your full support. With COVID-19, the crisis of homelessness has been magnified, and our most vulnerable neighbors are at greater risk than ever. That's why we'll be spending time together, virtually, of course, and getting to see the frontline work of Pathways' homeless street outreach teams and Pathways' tireless response. Most important, you'll also be able to meet people like Mark and Willie and hear their personal stories of home, health, and hope. You don't want to miss a moment. And now I'm happy to introduce Christy Respress, Pathways Executive Director, whose leadership and passion has been a driving force of Pathways work for more than 16 years.
Thank you so much, Doreen, and welcome everyone. I'm Christy Respress, Executive Director of Pathways to Housing DC, and we are incredibly grateful to have you with us here to share in the stories of the journey home for so many of our neighbors, a few of whom you'll get to meet as part of this virtual event. So stay with us, because over the next 45 minutes, you'll meet people like Mark and Willie who are living proof of the power of our work and the impact of your support. I am deeply honored that they offer to speak to you about their journeys home. You'll also meet some of our frontline staff who are walking side by side with the people we serve to end chronic homelessness in the greater DC region. They are truly my heroes in this fight. I do want to share a special thanks to Doreen Gensler of NBC4 in Washington, D.C. for serving as our MC for this momentous event. Since 2014, Doreen has been the lead reporter for an important project on mental health called Changing Minds. The project has garnered local and national recognition for highlighting a wide range of issues related to mental illness, a subject that deserves coverage as we eliminate the stigma that all too often remains part of the lives of people we serve at Pathways to Housing DC. Now, we want to take a few minutes to give you just a glimpse of what we do and how our mission comes to life. Carla Lester, Pathways Senior Director of Programs, will be joining us from outside of the downtown DC Day Services Center, which is a true one-stop to end homelessness.
The mission of Pathways is to end homelessness for people with serious mental illness and other really complex and complicated health challenges using the Housing First model. We say that we provide home, health, and hope. And the hope is really one of the most critical ingredients that we provide, because I will say that ending homelessness is pretty straightforward. But oftentimes people have lost hope because the very systems that have been created to help people have actually often harmed them. I hear this over and over with the people we serve when I talk to them. They say, what's unique about Pathways and what I love is that you didn't give up on me even when I gave up on myself.
So we offer housing with no preconditions. So, we have no requirements for you to be sober, to be actively in mental health treatment. We believe that housing is a basic human right, and anyone who wants housing has the right to obtain housing. And so we offer housing first, but it's not housing only. So it's housing, and then we provide wraparound support to make sure that you maintain and sustain your housing.
It's based in this idea that people need choice in their lives. People need to make decisions for themselves, and that we are there to empower people to make the decisions for themselves.
You see, we use the term people experiencing homelessness and not homeless individuals, with the understanding that it's a condition. It doesn't define who they are. You know, we know that there are multiple reasons why someone could be experiencing homelessness. Perhaps they lost a job. Perhaps they have a chronic illness or a disability. You know, or perhaps they went through a divorce. And then we also need to think about the other implications that contribute to homelessness. In the United States, 13% of individuals are African Americans, yet 40% of African Americans make up the individuals who are experiencing homelessness. So when we talk about homelessness, we need to have conversations about larger issues.
At Pathways to Housing DC, 9 out of 10 people are successful in housing. And why it's extra impressive, I will tell you this, is that in housing programs that require people to be clean and sober and not use drugs or alcohol, or to take psychiatric medication as a requirement for housing, people stay successful about 45% of the time. So it's literally twice as successful as housing programs that force people to do things to earn the housing. After people move into housing, we provide what's the health services, and the health services are a combination of mental health, physical health, and substance use services. People experiencing homelessness that we serve are dying on average 25 years sooner than the general population of preventable diseases. And so, how do we address that? We connect people to the healthcare, and we don't just connect them and hand a piece of paper and say, here's where the doctor is. We go with them if they need that. So a lot of the work that we're doing once people move into housing is helping to create community, and that community looks like reconnecting with family. It looks like connecting with a faith community, employment, going back to work.
Housing plus support equals success. We have ended chronic homelessness for over 2,000 people here in the district, and we won't stop fighting. But we need your support to continue to do this very important work in our community.
When COVID-19 hit, we, like everyone else, had to pause, but very quickly pivot and change how we provide our services, but also not change. Pathways for many people is their lifeline. And we couldn't just stop and say, we can't visit you at home anymore. All of those life-saving services didn't stop.
You know, there's something different that permeates in our organization in terms of a different spirit, a different connection to mission. We are leaders and champions in this fight, and we will continue to fight until everyone is housed and chronic homelessness comes to an end. And so you feel that level of passion and commitment and dedication from the top down.
We are deeply grateful for the public dollars that pay for the housing and the support services, but honestly, critical gaps remain. We want to make sure that every person moving in off the street has a fully furnished apartment. We want to make sure that people receive a gift card to choose their pots, their pans, their sheets that they're going to sleep on that night. We want to make sure that our staff have the tools, the resources, and the training to provide the most up-to-date and cutting-edge mental health and support services possible. From the hundreds of people in our Housing First program to the thousands of people that we work with on the street every day, thank you to our donors, staff, volunteers, and partners. We really couldn't do this without you.
And I'm back with some really cool news. The generous supporters and members of Pathways to Housing's Board of Directors will be matching your contribution dollar for dollar up to $50,000. That kind of commitment from the people who dedicate their time and talents to this organization should prove to you how important the work that Pathways to Housing does. The impact of your gift will be doubled thanks to this generous matching gift fund. And we've made giving easy for you and fun. It's just a simple click to give on your screen. And our thermometer is helping to keep track of our tally. We want to see your name on our supporter list at the bottom of your screen. And it's probably no surprise that you can contribute using your cell phone. Just text Pathways DC to 243-725. Those details are on your screen.
This is the darkest one right here. This is the journal I had when I was living outdoors. You could see the mildew on them. It was a rough time, man. Here, 1027, nervous breakdown, don't know how I go for. Wow. I had no hope. Gosh, man, it's a miracle that I'm here today. It's just truly just wonderful, man. I like this spot right here because it reminds me of where I would set my tent up, like right here. Right between two trees, just like this. I tried to sleep in an abandoned building with some other guys. When I woke up in the morning, all my clothes and shoes and everything was gone, so I never slept in abandoned buildings. I took my chance out in the woods.
There is a misconception that, homeless people are lazy, that homeless people don't want to work. Mark, in fact, when he was homeless, he was working. But as we know, that's not enough to be able to live independently.
5 years ago, I weighed 127 pounds. I hadn't taken a bath in 8 months. I hadn't changed my clothes in 6. I was filthy. And I was ashamed of who I was. I hated the air that I breathed. One morning I was at the shelter and I heard a young lady calling for veterans, saying she was trying to help veterans get off the street. And I said, wow, I'm a veteran, I was in the service. I went over there and asked her because she could help me. And I told her I was a veteran and I was living out in the woods and I wanted to come out the woods. And I asked her if she could help me. She said, yes, I can help you, but she looked at me and said, don't you know who I am? I said, no. She said, take a good look at me. I looked at her, I said, no, who are you? She said, I'm your daughter. My daughter was working for Pathways. She saw me and I was so ashamed. And she said that she was in a program that could help me. And she told me everything to do. And for the first time, I had hope.
One of the least tangible but most important things that we provide here at Pathways to Housing is hope.
We're able to offer them something that's going to give them a chance to meet the goals that they have, to work their way out of their situations.
Once I got housing, I didn't want to do drugs, and I don't want to be dirty, and I don't want to be out there on the streets.
When people invest in Pathways, you're investing in someone's life. You're investing in someone's success.
If it wasn't for Pathways, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Home first, then we could work on everything else.
For the first time, I had hope. Oh, it's beautiful, man.
At Pathways, we know the solution to ending homelessness. It's housing, and we will not stop till every person like Mark, Gloria, and Anthony have access to home, health, and hope.
If I could pick the thing I like most about my apartment, it would be this right here. This thing right here. Ha! The light switch. I'm not in the dark no more.
Did you hear Mark? For the first time, I had hope. It's impossible to not be moved seeing his story from Pathways Veterans Housing Program. He continues to be an inspiration and a reminder that we can all be part of the journey home together. Donations to Pathways to Housing are invested in someone's life, a person just like Mark. The dedicated staff is keeping track of our tally tonight and celebrating every gift with you. Coming up, we're going to be spending some time in the community with the frontline staff from Pathways. People like Walden, a peer support specialist whose own story of experiencing homelessness is helping others today. And Mercedes, who ventures through the streets, alleys, and parks every day. They're making a difference in the lives of our neighbors experiencing homelessness right now as part of Pathways' street outreach team. On any given night, nearly 4,000 individuals are surviving on the streets or in the shelter system here. For our neighbors experiencing homelessness, Pathways outreach teams and support services are a lifeline, especially as the cold and wet winter weather approaches. Stay with us as we take a journey through the downtown streets and parks with these frontline team members.
I'm somebody that had lived experience, and I think lived experience is very important because you know what a person's going through. My role as a peer outreach professional makes a difference because they know I've been where they've been. When we're talking and they'll tell me, say for instance that, well, I don't have documents or I don't have a resume, I can't do this, I can't do that, and I share a little bit of my story with them. Back when I was homeless, for almost 30 years, an outreach person didn't mean too much hope to me. It's just blankets or something like that, and which is good, and food and everything, but I wanted someplace to go. I ended up in this hospital, and I didn't want to live. So I was saving up my meds, and I never took those pills. Housing First changed my life and my thinking, and there was just hope, because I never knew anything like that existed. I've been in programs where you had to stay sober to keep your housing. You're just out automatically, and that's happened to me. You know, it's not like, well, if you don't give them, if you can't have housing if you don't stop, and you think that's going to be the thing that makes them stop, but that's not always the case. I love Housing First because Housing First allows you to have a chance to get another shot. When I first got my place, I relapsed that night, but then I realized nobody was putting me out that day. So I started all over again, and I have been sober since. You know, I'm going on 12 years in March, and that's all because of Housing First, and Pathways are the ones that started Housing First. We rely on donors, and donors have made people's lives so much better. They've changed a lot of lives. I mean, I really appreciate that. Mine too, mine especially. And I know this because I experienced it, but with the programs we have now, we can actually, people looking at us with a little hope now. If you hear Pathways, you're thinking like me, man, I know somebody that's with them, and I know they got housed, they have a nice place, and they're doing well, and their lives have changed. You know, now when we come out here, sometimes it gives you see a little glimmer of hope in somebody's eyes.
Well, I am humbled every day by Walden, and I'm just really thrilled that you got to meet him too. As you can all imagine, it takes an entire community to bring our mission to life, and that includes our board of directors. Rebecca Bond is one of those board members joining us for this event. Hi, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Christy, and good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name is Rebecca Bond, and I serve on the board of Pathways. And I'm also a disability rights lawyer. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what brought me to this field. When I was 7, my younger brother, Jonathan, was born, and I just loved him from the get-go. And as he grew up, we recognized that he had a significant intellectual disability. And although he wasn't able to talk, what we realized is what he wanted more than anything was to connect and to make choices about what he would have for dinner, what shows he watched on TV when he got to go to the grocery store. What he really valued was what we all value, dignity. And one of the lessons that we learned I've learned from doing disability rights work, and one of the things that really attracted me to Pathways is how important it is that people have the opportunity to live independently and to live with dignity. When a person has their own home with the services they need, they can make their own decisions. They can start recovery. They can take care of their health, both physical and mental. This is what dignity looks like. Pathways provides that opportunity to people living with chronic homelessness every single day. By doing so, they change individual lives. What's just as impactful is the fact that Pathways is refining a proven model, leading us on a path towards ending chronic homelessness. Just think of all the lives that would change. So on behalf of the Pathways Board, I want to again thank you for your support. We could not do this life-changing work without you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now I want to take a moment to share a small but really important tradition that we have in our office that we have continued virtually during the pandemic. Whenever we receive a gift from a supporter like you, one of our team members literally rings a bell. It's a simple act, but it always brings joy to our hearts when we hear this special sound. We know that sound means that your gift is helping to move someone out of homelessness and into a home. So I want to take this opportunity to ring the bell as we celebrate your support of Pathways and our mission. For our neighbors experiencing homelessness, This bell is a sound of hope as well, because it takes our entire community coming together each and every day to truly end homelessness. If you want to hear me ring that bell, making a gift right now, it's easy. You can click Donate on your screen, or you can text to give on your cell phone by sending the message Pathways DC, one word, to 243-725. That's Pathways DC to 243-725. And remember, we have a $50,000 matching gift fund for this event, doubling the impact of your support. If you're not a texter like me, that's okay. We always welcome gifts on our website. Just go to www.pathwaysdc.org, where we'll showcase many additional ways to support our work. I'll keep ringing the bell throughout this event, and I hope that every time you hear a bell ring, you know that someone is being supported on their journey home. So now we're heading to the front lines to hear from one of our partners, Unity Healthcare, who works side by side with Pathways Homeless Street outreach teams to provide on-the-ground medical support that includes COVID-19 testing during this pandemic. Plus, you'll have a chance to meet Mercedes, who's a member of Pathways Homeless Street outreach team, to learn how we truly meet people where they are, not just with our words, but with our actions.
In Washington, D.C., Unity Healthcare has teamed up with Pathways to Housing D.C. to provide health care for people experiencing homelessness.
People experiencing homelessness have higher comorbidities or medical conditions that are concerning because of lack of access to good routine health care, preventive health care. They also are dealing with a number of stressors that raise their blood pressure. The food that they eat sometimes contributes to making their diabetes more poorly controlled. So at baseline, people experiencing homelessness have I would say, poorer health than their counterparts who are housed. This, I think, to me shows how homelessness is a public health crisis with or without the coronavirus, but the coronavirus really just brings it into stark relief.
As a homeless outreach worker, we're sort of bridging the gap for our clients in a very unconventional way. Most clients are gonna go into buildings or meet with their caseworkers. Outreach is really the opposite of that. Meeting the clients truly where they're at, out on the street, outside of basic needs of, providing blankets and meals and things like that, and connecting them to those resources. We're really getting them connected to getting their birth certificate, their social security card, their ID, food stamps, health insurance, things that they really need to kind of then progress along their housing plan. So street outreach matters because it's for those individuals that fall through the cracks and sort of are, not your conventional client that's going to go into an office or seek their, seek services that maybe they need. You want to complete a food stamp application, I can pull out a copy out of my backpack and we can do it right here on the street. You don't need to meet me at my office. What gives me hope is my clients. They have been through so much being outside, and they have hope often, and they're able to kind of sometimes humble me, and it definitely makes me feel good, the work that I'm doing and the ability to be a part of their journey and their process. So with the onset of COVID, sort of what our clients needed in that messaging was sort of difficult to kind of convey to our clients, stay home, isolate, really wash your hands. Those are things our clients don't necessarily have, they don't have access to. We had to then go from working on IDs and sort of getting connected to housing to meeting the basic needs of food, using the restroom, washing their hands. And that social isolation piece, I think, was really tricky, because our clients missed that basic human interaction. So it's great that we have these resources in the city, with the shelter hotline, the day center, but we could always always use more assistance, especially for our clients. They're always in need, and it's really important for our donors to see that. What keeps me going is those small victories that we make. You know, I had a client I was working with for a couple of years. I got him to get his blood pressure checked. Like, that's huge, you know. For someone else, that's not a big deal. But for me, that shows, again, hope, you know, that we can get to where we need to, even if it is baby steps.
One of the toughest things many of us are facing in this pandemic is being socially isolated and not being able to spend time with family and friends and the people that we love. And that's true at Pathways as well. Our staff and program participants really missed what would have been our 16th annual cookout this summer due to concerns about the coronavirus. But as I was feeling really sad about that in July, I remembered something that gave me hope. Last summer, I was eating my veggie burger and chatting with some of our participants when I saw Willie and his wife walking up to see me. Willie was one of the very first Housing First tenants back in 2005 at Pathways, and we just talked and talked about his grandkids and about his job as an electrician at a carnival, just normal stuff. That's the power of what we do at Pathways. Housing is just the first step to people achieving their dreams and creating a life filled with meaning and hope. Willie isn't a formerly homeless person. He's a husband, a grandfather, a neighbor, and a friend. It's those things that make us who we are. So now I'd love for you to meet Willie.
Before I got connected with Pathways, I was more of I didn't trust anybody. I was violent. I didn't care about anything. But since I've been home with Pathways, I've been able to recognize that I was wrong. I feel safe. My wife feels safe. My life is tremendously different. It feels good to be able to take it, walk and say, hey, you know, these my keys. You know what I'm saying? I can open the door now. My caseworker, you know, takes a lot of time to find out what my needs are. You know, where I want to do, what I want to do, where I want to be. I'm not saying people don't slip, but when you got caseworkers like the ones here, it's going to be hard to slip. But sometimes we do take our grandkids down to like Franklin Park and let them see how homeless how we lived at one point. And it's amazing because now they're like, you know what, Papa, I didn't know this. I'm like, yes, me and your grandmother used to be them people. We still ain't no better than them, we're just in a better position. It's a blessing to have them, to be able to come to my home. And I say that because before I couldn't have them come to a home because I didn't have a home. Before you take and judge another individual, won't you take the time to ask them their story? Because every day we all live one paycheck away from being there. There's no other program like Pathways. I mean, you got programs that, you know, all they focus on is, I'm gonna put you in this building and then you forgot about it. Not Pathways. They help you with your medical. They help you to get there, they help you to get it, they help you with your prescriptions, they, you know what I'm saying, they help you with so many different things where when you are housed, you feel like a complete human being. But I have not seen one program that actually works as much as this one. That sign out there, Pathway to Housing, they stay behind it. They stay behind it.
I think we all want to celebrate Willie right now and give him a virtual hug for sharing his story. His emotional journey home is one we'll always remember. Let's check in now with Christy on our fundraising goals and special announcements.
Oh my gosh, we are approaching $165,000 in donations. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Elizabeth, Mary Kate. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lisa, and all of you out there who are getting us closer to our goal. We truly rely on the generosity of our community, people just like you, to bring home, health, and hope to our neighbors experiencing homelessness, and to our clients in our Housing First programs who rely on our services every day. There's still time to give, and our $50,000 matching gift fund can double the impact of your contribution. We ask you to dig deep with us, knowing that your gift can change a life. And quite frankly, your gift will help save lives. So thank you, Rachel, John, Sophie. We hope that you will stretch with us this year. Now, more than ever, we need your support. Here's just a few ways that your support makes a difference at Pathways to Housing, DC. A gift of $5,000 brings home, health, and hope to those we serve. It's a powerful investment because it touches every aspect of our work, from street outreach to housing and beyond. It's the investment that helps to make sure that people like Mark and Willie have every opportunity to succeed and have a place to call home. Your gift of $2,500 brings a healthier and longer life to our clients through services delivered every day by a team of nurses, mental health professionals, peers, and addiction and recovery specialists. A gift of $1,000 brings dignity to our clients as we welcome them home. This can include home furnishings, kitchen essentials, and even a bed to finally sleep in. A gift of $500 brings warmth to our neighbors still experiencing homelessness and living on the street with blankets, coats, hats, thermals, hand warmers, and scarves. The need for these items is urgent and it's real. So thank you, and we are getting closer to our goal. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mary. Oh my gosh, thank you, Phil. Every gift truly has an impact at Pathways. As you make your contribution, know that you're part of the journey home, that you bring hope, and that you are making a difference. A quick reminder, if you're just joining us, you can donate online by clicking the Donate button on your screen right now, or you can text to give by sending the message Pathways DC, one word, to 243-725 on your cell phone. That's Pathways DC to 243-725. And while you're donating, I do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, PNC Bank, JBG Smith, Green Line Realty, and Tenleytown Trash for investing in our work to end chronic homelessness. And to thank all of our Challenge Fund supporters who help to inspire generosity with their early and generous financial commitments. Thank you again. Oh my gosh, we just passed $170,000. So finally, before we end, I'd love to continue this conversation. And so I'm inviting you to one of our live breakout sessions where you'll be able to speak with me and our staff to answer any questions about our work and your impact. Just because we aren't in a room together sharing a cup of coffee or a meal, it doesn't mean that we can't see each other face to face. So, how do you join me? It's very simple. All you have to do is scroll down below this live stream to where it says breakout sessions, and then click on the session listed that you'd like to join. You can join our Veterans Housing First conversation, our homeless street outreach conversation, or our housing is healthcare conversation, which is where I'll be. But before we all go tonight, I want to share a most important message with you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting Pathways to Housing DC, and thank you for believing in our mission. Whether you've been with us since the start in 2004, or this is your first time meeting us, we truly could not do this work without you. So be well and stay safe at home.